Yeah, like we do when we roll.
Yeah. What's up, bro?
What's up, dude?
Who are you?
I'm your friend Ryan.
You are my friend Ryan.
Yeah. We've been hanging out for a little bit. I helped you. Well, our kids are good friends, and then our wives are like sisters.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you and I have just gotten close.
Yeah.
And I helped you drive the van on that long drive out there.
That was intense. That was cool. We had a long conversation.
No shit. We were
for
like
12 hours. No. Took us
16 hours.
9 hours from LA to Vegas, which normally it should be 4.
Yeah.
And then the last half was like the normal 6.
We stopped at that truck stop and the guy was like, "Are you
we
guys
didn't have
crazy?
Fucking lights.
You guys crazy? Your trailer doesn't
You
have
didn't
lights."
tell Liz that, did you?
No.
Oh my God. I didn't tell Rhoda that. I was like, oh my God, I almost killed your fucking husband. Okay, Liz, if you're watching this, which you're probably not, but
maybe
if you are.
I did tell her. I don't remember.
Okay.
But she,
Anyways,
she's cool with that stuff.
I know, but
you and I've gotten really close.
Sorry, Liz, I love you. I didn't mean to almost kill your husband.
We've gotten really close in the past. Maybe I've been going 4 or 5 months to an academy, but my friend Nick invited me to come roll at his friend's house, who has like a mat in his living room, and he's such a generous guy.
Yeah,
he's a good guy,
and then now you've been rolling. Where and with who?
Well, I want to tell you a little bit about that.
Yeah.
What was really special to me is that Nick, I've always talked to Nick about it.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is that I started texting with Nick about Jiu Jitsu and asking him about it. He said, "You should come sometime." And then you and I went surfing or swimming or something at the beach one day.
Then we went on a bike ride?
Something. And when we were walking back, we talked all about Jiu Jitsu.
Mm-hmm.
And I told you about my history wrestling, and you were like, "Dude, I think you like it." And I was a little judgy about it and was a little bit like, I don't know. And so it was really amazing that you and Nick both came through at the same time and really piqued my interest. What was really special,
you had 2 like forces kind of like in your ear a little bit. Okay.
And what was really special is when I went for the first time to go roll with these guys, Nick and I think 4 other guys. He gifted me a gi because I didn't have a gi, and he was like, "I got you," and he gifted to me. And that's really touching to me, and so I felt it came with the white belt, and I was just, who better to receive that from than a friend?
Yeah.
Somebody that kind of gets you. And so that actually, his generosity has really held me accountable, actually, because he trains with Cobria.
Yeah.
And I ended up training with Cobria. I mean, it all worked out. I mean, anyways, that, had that not happened, who knows if I would have ever stepped in an academy or where I would have gone. Maybe I would have gone to this place here because it's like walking distance from my house, but and the generosity of those guys, they're all like purple, brown, black belts, and they were super gentle with me. And
you didn't even know what they were
out,
doing, probably.
I still have no idea what I'm doing. You have no idea how many times I roll and I end up in some position, and like especially if I'm lucky enough to be rolling on like a purple or above, and they look at me, and I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what to do. I get into a position like I really don't know a lot from I don't know a lot of submissions. I mean.
Well, we're supposed to be right now
learning to protect myself.
Learning defense, right?
Yeah.
Defense.
Right. So I find myself a mount, and I'm like, shit, dude.
Yeah.
I got a few things up my sleeve, but there's that mental delay between me thinking about it and then doing it.
Yeah. I did have recently a shift from offense to defense where I like understood, bro, just focus on defense. For me, this is my internal dialogue, right?
Yeah.
It's just like, don't worry about snatching arms. Don't worry about any of that stuff. How long can you keep these people off? And
yeah,
it's gonna come, and it doesn't mean like while I'm 100% focus on defense that I can't also, like, if there's an arm there and I could take it, I'll take it.
Mm-hmm.
But the objective for me is defense. And it's good. You get good at that, you carry that with you forever, right?
You said you just switched it. When did you switch that perspective?
Oh, well, I've been traveling, so probably just like 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
You know, it took a while. And I don't know, I think maybe even somebody told me, they're like, dude, just focus on defense. Don't even worry about anything.
Wise advice.
Yeah.
It's funny, man, you mentioned that because I went to my first no-gi class last night. Had a blast, but it was the first time I set an intention when I walked in there.
Yeah.
To protect myself the whole time I was there.
Did you know?
I was not interested in attacking any problem.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I've always had this mindset. I've always been aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
As a wrestler, I mean, of course I'm like
kind
of aggro and spazzy in the Jiu Jitsu setting, you know?
Yeah.
It's kind of who I am. And so, but I've always like been an attacker of problems. Like I see a problem and I'm like, I want the fucking solution and I'm going to force it.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so I thought to myself, how do I dissolve the problem? You know what I mean? I have to learn to defend myself.
So that's your first time you went from fixing the problem to dissolving the problem?
Yeah, it felt like that. That was my intention. It doesn't mean I got tapped out probably 50 times yesterday.
Yeah.
And I didn't submit
But your
anybody.
mindset was different.
I moved slower.
Yeah.
I've always focused on nasal breathing. That's something I really focus on.
Just in your regular life?
My heart rate was slower.
Okay.
No, even when I'm doing athletic stuff, I've always really tried to keep my breath under control, you know, to be aware of my partner's breath. But my heart rate was slower yesterday.
Aware of your partner's breath?
I try to be.
I never even thought about that.
I used to think about that during wrestling, man.
Why? I mean, now that you say it, it seems so obvious, but let's talk about it. Like,
well, because if I could throw somebody on an out breath, they have less power stored to defend themselves.
That's so fucking gangster.
But when somebody's shirtless or wearing a singlet, you can see their breath, especially if they're a heavy mouth breather, and they're just like most dudes are. Even when you're rolling jiu-jitsu with a black belt, most of them have their mouth guard and they're just like completely mouth breathing. But I used to time it during wrestling. Like if somebody just took an in breath, they're loaded and ready, man. That's like cocking a gun. They're ready to go.
Wow.
You know, and that's come in handy in jiu-jitsu if I find myself quite like I do most of the time on bottom.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to like elbow mount escape or something.
Yeah.
And if they're
by
gassing
bottom
and
you
I'm
mean
guessing,
like they're in your guard?
No, if they're in like mount on me.
Oh, that's not good.
No, it happens.
Yeah.
But
as a wrestler,
I literally try to slow down and try to get their breath, because if I can push them, or if I'm trying to trap and roll and I notice they're gassed and they're breathing really heavy through their mouth, I can hear their breath.
Yeah.
And as soon as they take an exhale, it's much easier to toss them than it is.
As a wrestler, are you very uncomfortable on your back, like mentally, emotionally?
I've adapted easy.
Okay. So that transition was all right. Because I heard some wrestlers.
It's been fine for me.
Okay, but could you see that some wrestlers are like, could be a thing, or?
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, because. There's a few.
Like, right, it's not even, I don't know wrestling, but from what I've heard, like, you can't even touch it, right? Like, it's like lava, like the floor is lava with your back, right?
Yeah, I mean, so there are some there are major conditionings of being a wrestler, is that, go on your back. Another big thing for me is a fear of stalling. That's like straight up, you just don't stall in wrestling. If you're doing what you do in jiu-jitsu for more than 7 seconds, dude, you're stalling.
Yeah.
You're wasting everybody's time and you're going to lose points. So you get conditioned to always be working and attacking.
Do you think jiu-jitsu needs some of that, or do you think that it's good for you to learn that?
I don't think I can comment on that, because the art of jiu-jitsu, I'm so new to it, but I don't know what to say about that.
Yeah.
I think that it would come in handy if you needed it for self-defense.
What? Not stalling or not stalling?
Like not stalling, constantly working at something. You know what I mean? And I don't know enough about Jiu Jitsu to really say it.
I'm wondering if
that's what they're doing. But what I'm trying to say is that at my level of like knowing nothing about Jiu Jitsu really, is that I feel like I'm stalling when I get in a place like side control, and I'm like, well, I can kind of hold this guy,
right? Yeah,
and maybe work on the one or two things I know, but like, I see my coach from years ago screaming at me to fucking do something. Yeah. You know what I mean? So there's that fear. Yeah. And then also, being on your back, stalling. It's just not something you want to do as a wrestler, you know? Yeah. You want to be in control all the time. And I'm sure you do in jiu-jitsu too, but I don't know. Those are big things for me, the stalling thing. Yeah. I have had good partners. They have to tell me to slow down, and I'm like, oh yeah. Thank you. It's not a race against the clock.
Yeah. I mean, some people imagine, I actually think maybe the reason why we get along is I think we're kind of exact polar opposites on that. Like, I'm not aggressive, right? In jiu-jitsu or things like that. Like, I need to be more aggressive. Now there's stalling and there's me just like sitting there being cerebral, thinking, not moving, and I should just be like, bro, just do something. And I catch myself all the time like I just like stop. And I internalize it like, fuck, like, are you pussy? Or like why aren't you moving? Or why aren't you thinking? Or, like all these things. And that's my path, right? So it's like almost like we're like on this inverse trajectory, right? Yeah. Where maybe you need to fucking chill out and I need to like step up. And I'm curious if one day, like you on your path, learn how to slow down, be technical, play the chess game. And on my path, I keep continuing learning how to become more aggressive. I wonder if there's ever a point where if there's like an inversion where we're like, get to roll where we're like, do you know what I mean? Yeah, well, I'm coming up, you're coming down, or like, that would be like pretty interesting.
That would be. I would say I don't know what my path is.
Yeah.
I'm just, what's cool is that, not to get weird or esoteric or spiritual or anything.
Well, no.
But
that's why you're here.
Trying
to be weird, esoteric, and spiritual.
I get that way. But,
yeah.
But the way I see it is, like.
Can we share this?
Yeah, please. Is that if I'll explain it to you. I used to get so emotional when I would wrestle that I would kind of black out. Because to me, emotions are not creative. They just inform your decisions.
Badly or?
No, they just inform your decisions. Like to me, it's like, I think that our creativeness really comes from our spirit. You know what I mean? So I used to get angry. I used to kind of black out and not know what happened. And so that hasn't happened to me. And so keep in mind, I haven't done combat in 20 years. And so I really jumped back in at a high level of athleticism. I've taken good care of myself.
I want to stop there for a second. Like, you have taken really good care of yourself. And our families went to, what was it, Big Bear together?
Yeah, we went to Big Bear.
And I watched you do your morning routine.
Yeah.
And I was really impressed. You did like a cat-cow, but you did this like fucking gnarly cat-cow, like a straight, like crazy. I was like, what the fuck? And then I don't know what else you did. And you did some breathing, you did some meditation.
Yeah.
And like you're fit, you're solid. Like every time I give you a hug, I'm like, fuck yeah, dude, this dude's solid. And like, that's a big deal. Whereas I, on the other hand, really let myself go, and now I have to get back to that. And I'm like, well, one, I'm proud of you. That's a big deal.
Thanks,
a lot of dudes don't do that, right?
Yeah.
Especially, I'm 46. How old are you? Or do you mind sharing?
38.
Okay, 38.
Yeah.
Like, you're at the age where that let go-ness is pretty frequent.
Yeah.
So, good on you.
Thanks.
I just wanted to acknowledge that.
Thank you.
And say I respect that. And
Thanks, homie.
yeah, so where were we going with that?
Well, I'll tell you that cat-cow thing is that, like any yoga, like do cat-cow. I just did 3 minutes of that with breath of fire.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
on the cat pose, you
Yeah.
exhale, and the
Yeah.
cow, you inhale. So do 3 minutes of that.
Yeah. But it wasn't like your typical, like,
You do.
ambient music
No.
and bells and cat. It was like...
It's kind of a masculine practice.
Yeah.
There's something to doing a spinal flex.
Yeah.
With the breath guiding that. So you can go fast and deep and powerful.
Yeah.
But you let the breath guide the spine.
Yeah.
And when you're done with that 3 minutes and the belt goes off, inhale all of it.
Okay.
Hold it. Squeeze all your root muscles up.
Yeah.
And just,
When
good stuff, man.
when I first started doing yoga, and I was doing, at first I didn't have any inhibitions to do yoga because I was like, I get it, this makes sense. It's like stretching or whatever. But I will say that the first couple times I did cat-cow, I did not like the feeling of being all fours and like it felt like a position I never wanted to be in.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? It was like, I don't know, just arching my back and unarching, and like I had to get over that.
Hey man, try wrestling in a fucking leotard.
Singlet, leotard.
In front of a
what movie was that?
In front of 600 people.
Breakfast Club.
Yeah, and you're on the bottom.
Yeah.
And as soon as the whistle blows, the guy just takes his hand and cups you right in between, right on your taint, and just drives your face in.
Yeah, okay. Well, I didn't have to deal with that. But yeah, as far as cat-cow goes, but now I'm over it because even in our gym, in our warm-ups, we do cat-cow.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
man.
like, and if we don't, like if we skip that stretch, I'll do it on my own because one, after seeing you do it, and then two, I get it, man. It's important. That and pigeon, I have to do.
Yeah.
I have to, whatever pigeon stretches, like my body just tells me like.
Yeah, the hips are key, dude.
Yeah, hips are key.
Hips are key, and then also, there's like, in a lot of yogic traditions, they say that someone's true physical age is determined by their spine, flexibility of their spine, and strength of their spine.
Okay. I mean,
that's your antenna. It's your divine antenna.
How does that not make sense, right?
Yeah.
Like,
take care of it.
Yeah.
Strong and flexible.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Yeah. Swimming has been good for me on that.
Swimming's the best, man.
For my spine, and so I'm happy that I have that in my life. It's like a good complementary to Jiu Jitsu.
That's great.
Is that swimming?
Jiu Jitsu has changed my morning routine and my workout
What's
a lot.
your
It used to be strictly yoga, kettlebells, things like that.
Yeah.
Some mornings I would put on headphones and dance and do stuff like that, but it's gotten me more into I involve more combative minds.
Yeah.
More of a combative mindset with some of my warm-ups.
Yeah.
So there's a cool hip drill that we do at Cobrina's gym. He does this thing called break dancers, and I've just learned all kinds of cool stuff. He does a workout class on Saturdays called Capo Fit, which is like capoeira mixed with a fit class.
Sure. Yeah.
It's hard as shit. It's amazing.
Yeah.
And I've stolen so many things from that class and gone home and done it every morning because I'm just like, it's just so creative, and I just love that stuff. One thing that I've been doing every morning lately is I didn't buy, but we had a like a workout inflatable ball, a Swiss ball.
Sure.
We had one that's the size, I don't know how big it is. It's only like 30 inches big. But when I lay on it with my chest, it shrinks down just enough. It squishes down that it feels like I'm in side control on a big guy.
Oh, okay.
And I've been practicing doing spins from my back all the way to my front. I get it on first thing in the morning. My whole spine adjusts.
Yeah.
I get a crack all up and down my back.
Yeah.
And then I practice. I practice doing spins. And
do you know that Pilates ball is the #1 sex toy in the world?
It's the what?
#1 sex toy.
Oh shit.
Yeah. Because it's a ball and it's squishy and there's all kinds of things.
You can do whatever with it.
You can do whatever. I don't know why I decided to throw that in there, But I thought that was interesting. But yeah,
sex probably ain't far off from Jiu Jitsu sometimes.
yeah.
I don't know what to say. We were talking about something I wanted to say. You talked. Oh my God, so spicy to me.
Yeah, spicy food and podcasting may not be the best choice.
A white belt with the spice, yeah.
Yeah.
So, you mentioned from going from that like attacking mindset to defensive.
Yeah.
That literally just switched for me, because when I first started training at Cobrian's gym, I was going 5 days a week. I went for I was like, you know what? I'm gonna get my 27 classes and get my white stripe. Like, I'm just gonna blast it out, because you can't go to no gi. You can't go to the Saturday class. You can only go to these white belt intro classes. Part of it was ego, me being like, fuck this, I don't want to be in this class. I want to go to the other one. Man, I was sore, I hurt. It reminded me of being in the 7th and 8th grade again, where you're on the bottom and they're just teaching you to get up and get away.
Not in a good way? Or just
it was good,
or impartial.
But it was, you know what it was like a reminder of that time. And a lot of old shit came up for me that was undealt with.
Like what?
You know what I mean? Like feeling helpless.
Yeah.
You know?
Feeling helpless.
It's not fun having someone smother you on their face. I feel like I could keep my cool in that.
Yeah.
But there's something weird about doing 5-minute rounds where you're only on bottom and your partner's in mount, and your only job is to get back in the guard.
Oh, you're talking positional drills?
Yeah, and you do that for an hour. Yeah. And I'm doing that 3 nights a week of my 5 days I'm going.
Yeah.
And it was a little bit like boot camp for me. I was like, fucking man, this is like... I went through the ego where I was like, I've paid my dues. I did this shit. I don't need to do this again. I'm a grown-ass man. Dude, I was going through it all.
Yeah.
I would journal about it.
Where are you at now?
What's that?
Like, where are you at now mentally with it?
Much better with it.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to tell you that not only when I would get back to guard, I would like attack from guard. I would take it one step too far, and some of the instructors were like, you need to chill out.
Yeah.
Some people didn't want to roll with me. I didn't want to be that guy, and so I had to.
I don't think I want to roll with you.
I had to look in the mirror, man, and be like, I don't want to be that guy.
Yeah.
Like, I had a habit of like, if I reversed, like if I trap and rolled somebody and ended up on top, that I would immediately put my hand around their throat and be God, I'm so sorry. You know what I mean? Like, I would go home angry with myself most nights.
You're mad at yourself for doing something.
I had fear of loss of control.
Yeah.
And so that's the attacking I'm doing. And so then I started getting hurt when he finally started letting me roll. Hurt my rib, hurt my jaw. I hurt my foot, got heel hooked in Santa Fe, and hurt my foot, and then almost bit my tongue. And it was all my fault from just.
And I think I remember all of them were within a 3-week period.
Yeah, they all just came like that. Just as soon as I get better from one, I'd go to the next day and get hurt again.
Yeah.
And Cobrinha said something the day that I bit my tongue pretty bad. He was right before we started to roll that day. He just said, "Remember that if you get hurt, it's your fault."
Right.
Now we know that's not fully true, but that's what I needed to hear, and that's something I needed to hear when I was a young kid.
Yeah.
From a man that I respected, was like, you know what? You get hurt, it's your fault.
Yeah.
It's funny that I went out there and went wrestler mode with somebody.
Yeah.
Ended up biting my tongue.
Yeah.
I couldn't talk for 2 days.
Oh.
Horrible.
Yeah, right.
Wasn't wearing a mouth guard.
Yeah.
I learned that, and I had a
Did you not have a mouth guard, or you just didn't wear it that day?
Just didn't have one. Just didn't have one.
Oh, you don't have one?
I have one now.
Okay, what'd you get?
Better believe it.
What'd you get?
Some
Sisu or
thing? No, I just got something at Sporting Goods store.
Yeah.
But I got one that's got like a bite shock thing in it that's got extra padding, because when I got hit, it was a knee to the chin.
Yeah, you need that thing.
And it rocked me pretty good. But man, I had a mindset, like, so I took a week off after my tongue, and I just went back this week, and I went to no-gi last night, and I just said, you know what? I'm just gonna take it easy. And it was the most welcomed and helped I had been felt like I was a part of something.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's because no gi has a little bit more of a, even more of a culty feel than the gi class. But there was like half as many people there. Everybody was legit. Everybody was swimming in the flow.
Yeah.
And
felt good.
I was super humble.
What was it? 10 rolls in 15 minutes or something like that?
Yeah, we did 10 rolls, 10 5-minute rolls.
10 5-minute rolls.
I was toast, man, at the end of that. I was
10 5-minute rolls, yeah. With 1 minute in between.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, 30-minute little drills, warm stretch, and then just rolling.
We learned a sequence to do a darce, like a submission, and which has been tough for me learning these sequences. I don't know if it's the way Korean teaches or not, but it's a lot of steps. That's hard for me to remember sometimes.
You know,
I feel stupid sometimes.
We talked about this in the car, and I've been chewing on it a little bit, and I think, man, it's good to be out of your reach. It's good for things to be too complicated for you. It's good to have too many steps. It's good for you to be frustrated. It's good for you to be like, fuck this shit. You know what I mean? Like,
I agree.
That's healthy. It fucking sucks when you're going through it and you're trying to do it.
That's your growth edge.
Yeah,
for sure,
right?
man.
Like
I'm learning so much about myself.
Yeah, we're pushing ourselves outside of our thing, and it's like, yeah, we could bitch about it and all of that stuff, but it's like, fuck, man. Like, yeah, like this is important, right?
Yeah.
This is important stuff that we're doing for ourselves and for our mind. And I don't know, that's just, I guess, where I came with that. And I felt bad because when you were first telling me all that stuff, I don't think I was being very empathetic, right? I was giving you a lot of pushback, like, well, maybe it's this and maybe it's that, instead of just listening to you, right? But now that we're kind of like having that conversation again, instead of, I feel like I'm coming at it from an angle of just like understanding and just saying that I think it's important, as opposed to, well, you shouldn't be thinking this way, right? Or so I kind of feel bad, so I'm a little bit sorry about that.
I didn't think
I know you're not sweating.
Thank you, though.
Yeah.
Thanks, bro. Thank you for hearing me out.
Yeah.
We're all going through it, and it's been like,
you know what it is? Sorry. I'm going to say why I gave pushback.
Yeah.
Because I went through that same frustration and continue to go through that same frustration. And I felt like I was hearing myself of what I don't want to hear in myself.
Holy shit, man.
So I was like, what is that, projecting or mirroring or something like that? And that's why I was like, hard for me to hear that, because it was like, that's something that I'm struggling with too.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to hear it from somebody else. Basically.
Thank you for your honesty. That's huge, dude.
Yeah. That's like,
what we're doing right now is what is not talking about what I think I know.
Right.
What we're doing is integrating what's happening to us.
Exactly.
Which is something that that hasn't happened to me yet with this, and something that never happened to me of all the years that I wrestled.
Okay.
I never had any kind of philosophical talk or any kind of growth talk about what it's doing to me. And that's why some things are coming up for me.
Yo.
There was some unprocessed stuff that happened.
And now you're processing it.
And a lot of that part of my life, I mean, you're going through puberty, if not just gone through puberty. You're at a big transition in life, and 99.9% of people who are athletes like that are not going to go on to do it anymore.
Right. And
I think you need proper closure, and you need someone that's wiser and older than you to help you with that.
Yeah.
I had good coaches, but it wasn't like that. You know what I mean? I didn't have somebody to like.
It's also different times.
Oh, of course. Yeah. I don't feel any blame or any of that. I'm just saying that I never. Of course, we always think we have our kind of shit together.
Yeah.
Yeah. I started doing this, and I was just like, I just couldn't write enough in my journal the first 3 weeks I started going to Jiu Jitsu. I was like,
so were you writing
in my body coming
techniques, or were you writing like It sounds to me like you were writing more about just what you were going through.
I was writing about what was going. I do take.
So you were literally doing white belt diaries.
I guess I was. Yeah. I still write about it from time to time.
Okay.
But those first 3 weeks were like, every morning I'd wake up and write in my journal for a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't do that every morning, but those first couple of weeks, man, I was just like, I was going through it, dude.
Yeah.
Some old shit.
Yeah.
Feeling like I really want to do over.
Yeah.
I was not always a nice dude. Didn't always play fair.
Yeah. And
then I see these tendencies coming out of me now.
Yeah. And
so I've gone through some versions of self-hatred and like a lot of shit, you know what I mean? There's times I'm also learning differently than I ever learned.
What do you need to come to peace with all of this?
That's a good question. How do I need to come to peace with this?
Maybe we don't answer it right now.
Well,
and maybe that's... Go ahead.
I think that is the journey. I don't know if there is an answer for it. I just don't. I don't know if there's anything. I mean, I can come to peace with a feeling, like an emotion of being angry with myself or self-hatred or something, or regret that I acted the way I did the night before. I can come to peace with that pretty quickly.
Maybe you know what it is? Maybe it's more about not like, I have to do this, and that, and then after this many years, then I'll be at peace with it. Maybe this whole jiu-jitsu and the things that have come up and the advancements and the plateaus and all of that, maybe it's more like meditation in regards from the viewpoint of the more advanced you are in meditation, the more it becomes about not stopping the things that are coming in, the ideas, the thoughts, your taxes, life, fights, all of that stuff, any kind of thoughts. It more comes about like, all right, they just come at me and I could just let them flow through me. Right. And you just become like with this peace with that, and then slowly like the weight of those are less and they float through easier. And so maybe for you and me and anybody else, maybe it's more about just a lot of exposure, and you just keep going through it where the weight of all of this stuff just diminishes through time. Right?
I get what you're saying, and I agree with you. So what I hear you say that, I think of a few things.
Yeah, what do you think?
I think that like the things that come up, I don't think the goal is for me not to have those things come up anymore. They're not,
because you know what? It's impossible.
We're human.
I
think that ultimately, you mentioned meditation, the first thing that came up to me was presence. Like just being present in the moment. You know what I mean? And I talked about when I would get so emotional wrestling that I would black out.
Okay.
What I mean black out is like, I don't remember what happened.
Well, I think
like physically I was there, and so now I'm being more present with things.
You disconnected.
So I think it actually shows
disassociation.
Yes. So I think it shows growth, that I can feel these things now. They're coming up, and I'm not blacking out at jiu-jitsu. I'm not getting emotional. I'm not grunting or screaming or getting crazy. There are some body things that come through that I immediately am like, bad Ryan, no.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Bad Ryan, no.
But I'm able to be present with myself and tender with myself, and I think that even if I go through it for a little bit, even if it keeps me up that night after we've trained.
Okay.
You know, sometimes I've lost some sleep over just being a complete spaz.
Yeah.
And like feeling like an idiot.
Okay, so we're talking about old shit's coming up. Part of that old shit was derived from your response, and your response was disassociation. That disassociation actually made you a good athlete because you were able to disconnect, right? And you were able to move forward. You were a fucking savage, robot, whatever it is, because you were disassociated. Fast forward, you're a man, you're a provider, you're a father, you're a husband, you're living a life. You get back on the mat, but now, a cousin of wrestling? I don't know, whatever.
And I always compare it like to me, like wrestling's like the Ramones.
Okay.
And Jiu Jitsu is like Miles Davis.
Okay. So now you're doing, that's actually good.
You know what I mean?
That's good. So, and then now what we're thinking about is the goal of presence, right? Of being aware of what's happening, and under any circumstance or any pressure, you don't need to dissociate, and you have to exercise the muscle of getting faster to a presence point and stronger. Does that recap kind of like what?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. So I also have to ask ourselves, what do we disassociate from?
Yeah.
And to me, it was a lot of pain.
Yeah.
And I
not
think
physical though, right?
Yeah, I think for most men,
it's mental.
Maybe emotional pain, maybe some sort of trauma or something like that.
Yeah.
That it almost feels like as scary as death to actually feel pain.
So we do all kinds of crazy shit to avoid it.
Well, yeah, I think so. I mean, I would say I'm gonna get kind of weird here, but like I think
you don't need to pre-qualify, bro. Like, you're good.
No, but I don't want to complete derail it. Derail a conversation.
Yeah.
But I mean, a lot of men in the United States, when before they were 48 hours old, had the tip of their dick cut off.
Yeah. That's pretty crazy.
And endured so much pain that they passed out while the parents go, oh, look, they actually put the baby to sleep. No, your baby just passed out because it felt so much pain. Yeah. So I think that's just one example of how males in particular are kind of, their nervous system's kind of wired to avoid pain.
Yeah.
I think that's just one example. But the system is kind of,
like, starts within 48 hours.
It's kind of rigged against the alpha male, because the alpha male is the protector of the mother, the woman, the Mother Earth, everything. If you can take them out, don't give them an initiatory experience, then they'll beg for military, and we could put them on the front line and kill a big chunk of them. The whole society is rigged, I think, against the protector.
Yeah.
It leaves them without defense. I could go down a rabbit hole about that all day. Yeah. But I think that we all have our own issues, and part of that's coming up for me now of old stuff that I avoided all those years and swept under the rug and moved on.
Yeah.
You know
what's funny is when I was at your house, because you and I can open up real quick and go in all kinds of different directions, so I could say anything in front of you, which is why I love you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like, one of the things I said is like, I feel like a man again. Actually, I didn't even say like again, because I don't think I ever lost feeling like a man, but I just feel like more of a man, doing jiu-jitsu. Like, there's something that it awakens, right? That kind of falls asleep a little bit. And I think that you guys can sit here as long as you... Okay, perfect.
Thanks, man. Thanks. Thank you.
I'm going to see what the light looks like on that. I bet it's pretty good.
Yeah, it's probably pretty cool, actually.
It looks fucking awesome. And when you talk about the attack against alpha male, I don't know exactly how you phrased it, but I think that there's a backlash happening now about that, right? Because I think that, I'm certainly one that's never shy. I've never have been shy. To be both extremely sensitive and vulnerable, but at the same time, very masculine and being like, no, in this, like, balancing both the masculine and the femininity. But what I'm noticing is a lot of men are like taking back being a man, right? Like, it seems like society has like neutered a lot of men.
Oh yeah.
And maybe rightly so, right? Maybe there's been some shit, like, men have done a lot of fucked up shit, right? Rape, fucking steal, murder, and all this shit. So maybe society needed to be like, whoa, let's slow all this shit down. all right. And then maybe now it's like, okay, let's rechannel it into something else. Not saying that those things are masculine traits, but men have been the ones who have been doing those things.
Yeah, I think that a lot of that stuff is like a backlash of there not being healthy outlets and like secure containers for people to be with other men and share themselves.
What do you mean by a container?
Like a trustworthy group of people that you could express your taboos to, just as an example, so that you don't unconsciously go out in society and act like a complete homophobe and get canceled.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And like, I think that humans are messy.
Yeah.
And we make a mess, and we're like, we don't have our shit together, and we need to have ways to deal with it. You know what I mean? I think just jiu-jitsu happens to be really popular right now.
Yeah.
And I think that's great because it comes at a perfect time where the people that are meant to find it will find it.
Yeah.
And
the people that are meant to filter out.
Yeah, and I guess it depends. When you say men are taking their masculinity, I guess it depends where you're looking, because I see places where it's going the opposite way quick. And so
I do, but
there's even guys at my gym that I'm like, I don't know, dude, you know, like, I guess there's a couple ways to look at like the masculine feminine balance. To me, there's a one way you can look at it as hunter gatherer.
Sure.
We all have aspects of both of us. Both of that in us. You know what I mean? So I could even ask myself, what mode am I in right now?
Right.
To me, for me, jiu-jitsu is a good place for me to go practice hunting. I think
hunting's for some motherfucking arms.
That's on my side. That's one way. But also like sharpening, making myself harder to kill.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Whoa. I never thought about
there's something inside of us that is, I think that's a good muscle to work out.
Yeah.
And that's not a physical muscle. That's like a mental will.
Yeah. Like true grit.
Yeah, dude. That's fucking grit, man. That's like, you know what? Like, I may not know a lot of shit about jiu-jitsu, but if it came down to it, you know, like, it's a good thing that I sometimes naturally want to put my hands around someone's throat. Or I see this dude was trying to pull guard on me and his groin was open the entire time. Or this person has hair, I would totally go for that. Or their ears or eyes. So jiu-jitsu goes so far, but with real life, I'm like, dude, that grit's what's going to protect you and your family.
What's going to protect you,
You know what I mean? Because you need to be able to see those things too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because that's the first thing you go for.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as a fair fight.
Yeah,
pull guard on somebody and get killed.
And I'm not gonna say who, but I would go visit this person in jail, and I remember he just looked at me and was like, and he was a badass scrapper. He was a really known, really tough guy, and he's like, "Yeah, I don't fuck around anymore. I just goes punch to the throat. That's the first thing that I'm going for." And the way he said it was really kind of scary, because I'm sitting him at a table like this. I can't touch him. There's metal and there's guards, and I know him. He's not a full of shit type guy. And it sounded to me like he just had to do that the other day. It was
just like real.
What it would take to fucking, that I need to solve this problem instantly. And what does that mean? That means like, you're fucking with me. It's a straight, full man fucking punch in your fucking throat. And that's pretty gnarly as shit.
That is gnarly shit.
You know? And it's like, that was his reality.
Yeah.
You know, what's he gonna pull guard?
No.
You know?
I mean, you could.
But you know what I'm missing?
That would help. I'm learning some valuable shit. Like, so I've been in some fights, not a lot, but I've been in some, and they don't always end up good, dude, because you know, you can shoot a single leg on a dude that's 6'6", 300 pounds, and you may take him down, but I've never been in a scrap where it was just me versus one other person. There's always multiple people involved.
Messy.
As soon as you take somebody down, 3 of his friends are punching you in the back of the head. I'm very humbled by that experience. So I would be the last guy to want to be like, I heard De La Hiva works good when little guys trying to defend bad guys. So honestly, dude, ever since I've never been a flip-flop guy. I'm going to tell you why. Because regardless of my ability to get rowdy, you know what, dude? Nobody's going to outrun me.
Nobody's going to outrun you,
because anybody that has that disrespects themselves enough to want to attack me, try to steal my shit, or do something horrible to me, has enough self-respect to run enough to be able to keep up with me running 3 miles at 5.5 minutes each mile.
They're not.
So I've always got good shoes on. I'm always ready to go, dude. You're not going to see me
I wear flip-flops all fucking day. You want to hear a funny story about them?
You know?
Is so we're in Los Angeles. I grew up here, and I feel like I very much understand the heartbeat of this city. I could be wrong, but I just feel like I get it, right? I feel at home here, no matter what neighborhood I'm in. Anyway, there's this romanticism about Los Angeles, and especially like when Boys in the Hood came out and stuff like that, people were like, what's Compton like, and what are these areas are like? And I was like, I don't know, they're just fucking neighborhoods. There's people, they go to work, they do their thing. It's like not what you think of. Anyway, to get to the flip-flop thing. So this guy was visiting LA, and he's like, how do I know how to handle myself in LA? And I never thought about that, because for me it was just instinctual, right? You just learn shit along the way. And I was like, let me think about that. And you know what answer I came up with him?
What?
I said, all right, first rule, because I'm just making this shit up or trying to draw from experience. I said, okay, first rule, never fuck with the dude that's wearing slippers. You know how gangsters wear like slippers? It wouldn't be like flip-flops, but it'd be like those cholo corduroy like house shoes. And I said, don't fuck with that dude. You want to know why?
Why?
Because he's comfortable.
Oh, yeah?
Right? So if he's at a liquor store and deep in the fucking hood, right?
Yeah.
And he's got his slippers on, that means he don't have to run. That means he's one away from fucking all his boys coming.
Yeah, dude.
Or he could just squabble himself.
Uh-huh.
He's good, man. He's just walking. I don't even got to run for fucking shit. You know? And he just said that. And I told that to a couple of my friends that like grew up here and shit, and they were like, that's a good fucking rule, right? Like there's somebody there and he's got slippers, he's just walking slow. Leave that dude alone. You know?
That's good insight, man. Well, you know LA, so.
So, I don't know. I could be full of shit, but that's what I came up with. That's why I laughed so hard when you mentioned the flip-flop.
Well, I'm not talking shit on flip-flops. That's just all, and that's just a recent awareness too, because even Liz, my wife, will be like, we're going to the beach, why don't you wear some flip-flops? I got these shoes called Earth Runners, which are these like hippie grounding shoes, but they're modeled after, they look like flip-flops, but they hook around your heel and they're modeled after, after running shoes that they wear like in Mexico, you know? And I'm just like, just because. I don't like the way flip-flops make me. I slouch. I drag my heels when I walk. Dude,
but actually, flip-flops and jiu-jitsu go hand in hand, fucking hand.
Well, fuck, you walk from the room to the mat. I mean, sure, but I don't even wear them, dude.
No, but I mean, like Brazilians in flip-flops are fucking. That's like
exactly,
that's
but I'm not even talking about jiu-jitsu in that moment.
Okay,
I for sure like a pair of Havaianas or something, and like sipping a coconut water on the beach. I see. Here's what I see how jiu-jitsu maybe. I know how jiu-jitsu really got started, but I see to myself like it's the perfect martial arts style for a guy that's got his flip-flops next to him and he's laying on his back drinking coconut water on the beach. And somebody tries to steal his flip-flops. He's already in guard. You know what I mean?
That's pretty funny.
Yeah, I was fucked up, but I've just always been like that, man. I'm a good shoes and a pepper spray guy, and like ready to go, man. And I learned I don't want to fight. I want to run. So that's also something that's been interesting for me in training jiu-jitsu is that, and this was kind of my MO in wrestling too. I was really aggressive on my feet. Takedowns and throws and stuff. I'd get on bottom. I could escape really easy.
And get back up on your feet.
Get back on my feet. If I got on top and couldn't turn the guy in 15 seconds, I'd cut him loose, give him one, and take him down immediately.
Okay.
Because I was so confident with that. I find myself habitually doing that in jiu-jitsu, where sometimes I lose focus on what the game is about. You're playing a game.
Yeah. What is the game?
I don't know. I guess to either submit the guy or it's like chess, or to like
not be submitted.
Or not be submitted. I don't know. But there's points where I'm thinking like I have to ask myself, why am I doing this?
Right.
Well, what am I learning about myself? And I really want to learn some self-defense and some practical shit.
I don't think that's why you're going there.
That's all I can contextualize right now.
It's not what it is.
I'm sure it's deeper than that.
No.
But I'm telling you that I want to just tell you that I find myself pushing people away and standing up and being like, oh, that's not the game.
But I want to focus on that a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't think, knowing you, all the conversations that we've had, like,
been a lot.
You're not going there for self-defense. Like, you know who you are as a man. You know that if it came down to it, you could handle yours, right? Like you would say, I'm gonna run,
right?
But just because you're man enough to be like, I don't need this. But if you were fucking cornered, you could handle yourself, right?
I would say that yes.
Okay.
But I would say that training jiu-jitsu has helped me. It's humbled me.
Yeah.
But it's also it's humbled me in a way that's kind of put me in check a little bit, but it kind of lowered my confidence a little bit with my ability.
Right. Yeah.
Of what I could really do.
That's important. Yeah.
It is important.
It's very important.
First of all, because, in jiu-jitsu, you can't judge a person by how they look.
Yeah. Sure.
Because that kid could kick your ass, probably.
Yeah.
And so it's like the most popular thing ever, especially here in LA. Anybody, dude, you never know who trains or what's going to happen. I'm not trying to fight anybody anyways, ever, period. But like, I don't know, man. It kind of like, I used to feel like I could hold my own. And now I'm kind of like, I don't know, dude. I might get choked out by some fucking 100-pound kid.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And that's a good thing. It's humbling.
That's
humbling.
Very humbling, man.
Okay, this is my theory on why I think you're doing jiu-jitsu.
Tell me why you think I'm
I could totally be fucking wrong.
Take a stab at it.
I'm going to. And I think that it'd be interesting to watch this in a year and see where we're at. And like we have this conversation and see what happens. So in a year, I'll look at it and I'll be like, sorry, bro. Like, anyway. I think that you're doing jiu-jitsu based on our conversations and our friendship. I think what's driving you is an intuitive force of gaining control, right?
Yeah.
Of gaining control of a lot of things. Gaining control of this crazy world that we're in. Gaining control of past unresolved traumas. Gaining control of, for other people, I would say like their body and how they conduct themselves. But you have eaten clean and you've taken care of your body and you've exercised. So that's not it. That is definitely for me. But that part is out on you, right? There might be some athleticism and stuff, but that's not like a big driver. I would say it's let's get some control. Let's put ourselves in stressful situations. Let's see how I react. Let's see what I learn. And then let's evolve, right? And that's what I see from you. And actually, if I am right, or if I'm close to right, I love that, right? Mm-hmm. And maybe I'm wrong. But if that is the case, and no matter what other reason that you're doing it, if I'm totally like, if it's totally 180 from what I'm saying, I'll love that too, because you're doing something that's positive and you're going to learn something from it. But that's what I'm saying.
You're onto something.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't gotten really clear with a why.
Yeah.
You did bring some stuff up for me when you said
Mm-hmm.
that, so you're definitely digging into something deep. I've tried to allow myself to be guided where signs are pushing me, symbolism's pushing me, and it just worked out perfect. Like you, my friend Nick, other things in life were just pointing this direction, and part of that's been me learning to surrender to these things. And so I'm here as long as the signs keep pushing me there.
What about this?
That's what I'm at. And I also want to mention you talking about me gaining control.
Yeah.
It's actually interesting you mention that, because I think that sometimes I consider the opposite of where it's been a thing in my life, and I think a lot of people can relate to this, is that I search for coping mechanisms that put me in control of something when I fear that I have lost control. And I think that I have had a fear the past year and a half since all this crazy shit going on in the world, that there are parts of my life that I'm not in control of.
Right.
My career,
right,
the state of the economy, the world.
Yeah, sure.
Who knows, dude?
Right.
And so a lot of times I'm going to say me, but I think a lot of us grip onto something that we can't control.
Right.
And this has been something that I've wrestled with a little bit, is that I had this philosophy when I wrestled that has kicked back in, and I'll tell you how this is related to control.
Sure.
That if I was not going to win a match,
yeah,
if you made sure that guy was scared of you after the match, then you technically won.
Yeah, I know.
That's a very toxic way to think.
No, I don't fucking think so. But
no,
go
dude,
on. I don't want to interrupt
as a fucking 16-year-old,
okay,
fuck
all right,
that,
go
man.
On, all right, go.
You know what I mean? And so it's like, so part of that was still in me, and that's a sense of control, is intimidation.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Someone to fucking pick on.
Yeah.
Someone, even if they submitted me 10 times in a row, they know.
You're talking wrestling.
No, I'm talking about even now.
Okay, all right, go on.
There's some craziness inside of me. Fucking psychopath.
Yeah.
They see it in my eyes. They may be better to me.
Oh, but if it really went down?
They know that I would kill them in the parking lot.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that gives me a sense of massive control and a really deep joy from a fucked up shadow part of myself.
And what do you want to do with that?
I have to face that.
What do you want to do with that?
Well, you have to become friends with your shadow.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
How do you do that?
Well, first of all, by noticing it's there. See, I didn't know. I didn't know. See, this is the beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Is I didn't notice any of this in high school.
Oh, right.
What I just told you about making people afraid of me, something I realized doing Jiu Jitsu, and that's something that I could never put a why on.
Right.
Why I go. All I know is that God led me to where I'm at. Whatever people call God.
Right. Sure.
But something led me to where I'm at for the time that I'm there, and so what I've learned is I'm kind of a growth-centric person. I love what I do. Well, whatever I'm interested in, I'm an all or nothing person. Let's just do this shit.
Fuck it. Why not?
And as soon as I lose interest, you also have the courage to walk away.
Yeah.
Because we live in a lot of models where it's like, the whole, a black belt's nothing but a white belt that just kept showing up.
Yeah. See, I don't like when you say that, dude.
But it's the same story for all the fucking sports I played. But I think that there is a point where you should know your own self.
I agree. Okay, I understand what you mean by that. But I don't like hearing that. Right? And it's maybe because I haven't pushed through something athletically enough to like see it all the way through, right? Like I wasn't an athlete and I feel like I should have been an athlete, right? Like I have this deep desire. That's why I'm doing those swim races. That's why I'm doing jiu-jitsu. And so for me, for your path, like you're over that, a black belt's only a white belt that never gave up.
Right.
But for me, that's exactly what I want to fucking hear. I even like become distasteful. Like I don't even like I almost look less at you when you say that because it's so far away from my path. And I don't look less at you, but you know what I mean?
Oh, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, you get what I'm saying.
That's your path. I think that's beautiful.
Like have like a resistance to it.
I'm not saying that that's wrong at all.
Right. But the way you say it with intensity and like fucking with disdain, I come back as equally as like, no, fucking that is right. Like these things are cliched and like blah blah blah, and I get it, and it's locker room fucking halftime talk type shit. Right. But it's like that's what I want right now. I want that. Fucking a black belt is a white belt that never give up. Like I want that, like almost to the point of I want it so bad, and I know that I want it so bad that I'm gonna close off even kind of hearing what your background or thought is about that, because I don't even want it in my psyche. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Like it's because I'm like, no, this is what I want to do, right? And I'm glad this is why we're talking about it, because obviously I am here. Obviously we're still talking about it. Mm-hmm. Obviously I'm going to hear you out, but I'm just being very honest with like what that brings up, and that's like, nah, man, like I don't see it that way, you know?
Absolutely. Well, it's all subjective.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean that I don't agree that is real. Right. That a black belt is just a white belt that kept showing up.
Yeah.
I think that's legit.
It's just not for you right now.
I didn't even say that. What I'm challenging, you know, maybe my tone, and I had some emotionality behind it that triggered the shit out of you, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But what I mean is like there is a construct around this idea of never giving up and what is giving up.
Yeah.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
I do understand that.
And I think because we're so attached to the outcome. And so I want to just mention courage.
Yeah.
About being dedicated to the process without ever thinking about the outcome or any kind of goal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that's what I try to be focused on, is like what I learn about myself while I'm doing whatever I'm doing. To me is more important, and that's what's worth sharing. And I think that somebody gets to a black belt, that's wonderful.
Yeah, sure.
You understand what I'm saying?
I do understand.
But so what I mean is like, we also have to be able to challenge what courage is for us.
Yeah.
And for me, I've already been through something at a high level of competition and completely burned out.
Sure.
Completely burned out. And it took me 20 years to get to find the motivation to want to fucking sweat on somebody else again. You know what I mean? And so there is a part of me that's jealous of people that are in their 30s now, 40s now, that are just finding that desire for this. And I'm like, fuck, dude, I was so over that, man. Smelling somebody else, being on them. Now, don't get me wrong, because I love what I'm doing now with Jiu Jitsu. But there's something. See, it's interesting that I triggered you with what I said. But there's something that triggers me. With like, if I decided 6 months from now
that you wanted to stop.
That I wanted to stop, and I was okay for now.
I see
that there is some sort of an idea of like, oh, you fucking quit.
No, see,
you know?
I wouldn't do that, and I'm being very honest. Well, this is a very honest conversation. This is pretty obvious.
I don't think you would do that. I don't think you would.
No, okay, yeah, and I wouldn't, because I know that you know who you are, and I know that like that's a decision, and I respect that, and I've made those choices, right? But for me, it's like right now, like I know when I wanted to go to art school.
Right.
It's 5 years long, and it was pretty. I was kind of disciplined because I just got out of the Coast Guard, so there's a lot of discipline. But I was really worried that I would give up, or more likely, like I would meet some chick and she would fuck my head up, and I would quit and use that as an excuse or whatever.
Right.
And so I had to tell myself, like I would literally have to say. This is funny. I literally told myself, don't let a girl fuck up your path. Because I saw my friend happen to, or whatever. And I guess, and it worked for me. I set a parameter, right? And then when I went to grad school, which is 10 times harder, I had to set other parameters, like don't let this interfere no matter fucking what happens.
Yeah.
Right? And I guess now on my path now, like I can't hear any outs from me. I can't hear that it's courage, or I can't hear that maybe I'm spending too much time or something like that. Like it's about like, no, this is a goal and I want to accomplish it. And maybe for me, my out would be just harmonizing with it, like integrating it fluidly with the rest of my life, as opposed to like, this isn't quite working out. Well, maybe I just lower the intensity.
Right.
I don't know. I don't know if any of that makes sense.
That makes sense to me. Yes.
Okay.
It does.
All right. Yeah. Yeah. So, and it's weird also too. Okay, a lot of it comes down to like this has been on my mind a lot, is me not being the athlete now that I think I should have been. Mm-hmm. Right? And I wanted to be, like, I wanted to go out in sports, but my parents were immigrants and they were just trying to survive, and they didn't understand sports. They were just trying to, like, literally just trying to survive and make money. Mm-hmm. Right? And I saw other kids where their parents would take them to soccer practice, they would do this. And so when I went on my own, I tried to do like cross country. I try to I wish I was, I looked at wrestling. I looked at like little things, and there was no one there to be like, go, do it, right? And when I finally did cross country, I quit and nobody cared, right? There was nobody there to say, no, you committed to this, at least finish out the semester, right?
Right.
And there was no accountability. And now that I'm raising a son, like, how do I balance? Look, I know cognitively, I know what I'm saying is like, yes, like there's moments where you could decide to like separate and it's totally fine, right? But now that I'm raising a son, how do I find that balance between pushing him just the right enough to show him he could go through adversity and succeed, and that you have to go through hard shit, and then of course not being the fucking dick father that's living vicariously through my unattainable desire to be an athlete, right? So how do I balance that? That's what I'm struggling with.
I think you are balancing it because you're both doing this journey together.
Yeah.
I think that's amazing.
But what happens if tomorrow he says, I'm into fucking baseball, and then he wants to stop? Like, I would probably struggle with that. Maybe I would just, I don't know. I never even stopped to think about that because he loves it so much, and I don't think that's going to happen. But if he did, what would I do? Would I say, hey, at least make it to blue belt? Or would I say, okay? Like, I don't know. I guess now after this conversation, I guess I'm going to think about it.
Yeah.
Or maybe I just keep going and lead by example. Or I don't know. Would that even matter?
I think there's times in our life where setting a goal and achieving something and developing grit and getting it done is important. And I don't think you like accomplish that and move on from life and do other shit. I think that it's like a vortex. It's just some people are at different places at different times, and that's just what somebody else needs. That's the medicine they need in the moment.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean that 5 years from now I might be there and you may be onto something completely fluffy and creative and not want to be told what to do.
Maybe I quit and you keep going.
I don't know what to say. I just don't know what to say. I don't think there's any judgment, but something that's helped me with Zoe is like, somebody mentioned this to me, and it was a solid shift for me, as they said, you just have to be the person you needed growing up.
Oof. Fuck, that hits fucking hard, dude.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when it comes to Skylar making his own decisions, Just be the adult that you needed to talk to you when you were a kid.
Yeah.
And just be that.
Yeah.
With all the experience you've had in your life.
Yeah.
Take the mask off. Don't pretend to be anybody.
Yeah.
Just, it's all in you. We have it all.
Yeah.
We have everything we need.
Yeah.
We just have to learn how to be genuine and authentic with them.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. Like, I get frustrated with my daughter because I'm just like, you love music. Because I see she's good at stuff. And then I'm like, you sure you don't want to practice that a little bit more? Because then you get, that's when a talent becomes a craft.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I know you know this too, because your kid's like uber talented. He's like a superhuman with origami and crafts, and he's a technician of many things. Sure. Also, they're young.
Right.
I just don't know.
I think
we also live in a society,
a
culture that's completely obsessed with self-improvement. And I think that it takes the attention away that we're already pretty amazing how we are. And I don't mean that to make us to just say complacency is okay.
Yeah.
But I also mean that like it's really easy to get addicted to constantly achieving goals.
Fuck.
And to searching for a fucking belt.
That's all I fucking do.
We talked about it in the car earlier, how is it human that we all seek approval from a teacher or an authority figure? Did school do that to me?
Yeah.
What happened? Because I find myself in between roles fucking looking at Cobrian to see if he's looking at me. I get pissed at myself because like, what the fuck do I care?
Yeah.
Why did I look? It's like I'm 9 years old again.
Yeah. But because I'm struggling with this too, like I, you know, man, that's a tough one. Because maybe it feels like shit, right? When you catch yourself, like, you know, did he see that fucking sweep, or does he see that I'm not giving up, or whatever it is? And then they don't care, or they're nonchalant, and then you're like, fuck, why am I even caring? I mean, he didn't see it. But if you did see it, maybe you'd be like, oh, sweet. But because they didn't, maybe now you're like, what? Why does it matter? I mean, I'm just talking from me, obviously, about with me and my with my coach, right, and or professor. But it's like, I don't know where I stand on if that's good or bad that I'm doing that. Like, I don't know if it's necessarily bad. It feels like shit when you're like, think you're over seeking for approval. But I don't know. Maybe as humans, we're integrated or hardwired to do that as a survival thing.
I agree.
So maybe... And I think it all boils back down to just being okay with it. Like, okay that I'm fucking needing this approval. And then the more you're okay with it, instead of like resisting it, and the faster you become okay with it, then the more you just let it pass through you.
You know, I think you're exactly right, man.
You know, it's just like...
We're social animals.
Yeah.
We survived... many thousands of years as humans because we lived in community and depended on each other very much. And so, to me, what feels the ickiest is that I get upset with myself about it and get pissed with myself about it.
Maybe just laugh next time if you can and be like, I'm such a fucking tool.
I've come a long way. This was something I went through the first 3 or 4 weeks I went there. And then I've almost completely gotten over it.
Good.
But there was a shift of like me just realizing that it's okay to need someone's support. And that maybe there's been times in our life where we didn't have the support we needed. And we're looking for it. And also, it's okay to naturally seek out mentorship with someone who hasn't necessarily established that direct connection with you. Because I feel like to a certain aspect, I've been an apprentice to many mentors. That we never really made that contract together. I've just studied what they did.
Oh, I've done that all the time.
I needed their, you know, like
Yeah.
So maybe that's a part of this
Yeah.
fucked up masculine conditioning, is that we get pissed at ourselves for being codependent.
Yeah.
Because we're somehow convinced that we need to be a lone wolf and not give a fuck what anybody thinks.
Right. And in a way, we fucking do.
Well, yeah.
Like we're social. We're social. I like having friends. I know I like having friends. I like having my pack. I like having my fucking people. I also know that I need to be independently fucking strong regardless of what you say, Ryan says to me, or whatever it is that you do, or if you somehow bug out, whatever, I still need to keep going. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man.
Like, it's like, like, I'll fight for it. I'll be like, fuck, like, let's make this work, like, blah, 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 you know? And then at a certain point, if it's gone, it's just fucking gone.
Yeah.
And I've done that. And I've had to do that. And it's been really hard to do that and let go of fucking certain things. But that's also part of fucking being a man too. It's just being like...
I think it's good to have both. To be able to walk the middle path.
Yeah.
We talked about courage, right?
Yeah.
And it's a little bit like, to me, it's like the courage to truly be yourself is somewhat like the courage to mind your own business. Because what somebody else is thinking about you is their business, not yours.
Yeah.
Which really leads you to the courage to be disliked. I read this in a great book that completely flipped my mind around.
What is it?
It's called The Courage to be Disliked.
Oh, really? I need to read
It's
that.
fucking, it's a head flip, dude.
Yeah.
And that's one thing he talks about in that book, is the courage to be disliked. We all need to develop.
Ironically enough, the more courage you have to be disliked, the more you're actually liked or respected.
I think it's because people sense a sense of integrity. And a boundary. Like, I've somehow, like, it seems like the universe works on tension and release somehow.
Yeah.
And there's the tension associated when somebody has a certain boundary up. And I think that that's also some of the magic of like a good relationship between a man and a woman, or even not a man and a woman, but like a more masculine or feminine partner, is that polarity creates that tension. And the more masculine partner ends up holding that container that allows that feminine energy to feel the tension of pushing against it. And they actually feel safe and freer. You know what I mean? So just talking about the tension, I think people sense that integrity. And they fucking respect you for it.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Just by being yourself. And then a sense of contribution the book talks about too, being key. You know?
I'm glad that you brought that up, because I'm right now, that's a very poignant driver for me right now in my life and where I'm at and the things that I'm doing. Is not agreeable to a lot of people. And like, I'm feeling like I'm getting to a point of like being okay with certain people not agreeing with my views. But it's new to me, right? Like that kind of like stance. And I'm really just trying to own my shit and just being like, I'm growing into myself. At 46, right? I still feel like I'm growing into who it is that I want to be. And I think Jiu Jitsu definitely has a part of it as well, like that confidence and like doing that. And I think it carries through on other things, and maybe some of it's with age and all this stuff. But yeah, man, like just want to be me unapologetically, right? And not set in my ways that I can't hear anything. I really worry about that as well. right? Like I kind of want to just be like, this is me, these are my fucking thoughts, blah, 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 and be closed off.
That's a trap too.
That's a trap.
As soon as you start trying to define yourself.
Exactly. So, yeah, it's weird because it's like partly, you know, like it scares me when you say the word define because I'm like, it's kind of actually, it is what I'm doing. But I guess if there could be like a defining yourself or just really like knowing thyself, like know thyself with a fluidity nature to it, or like a expand, contract of information, like as you go, right? Like I'm always here, but I'm absorbing this, taking in these ideas, considering these ideas, and then being like, no, actually I'm right here on this one. And then kind of start over again, and then maybe actually 10 years later I'm here, right? But never just like here, closed.
Yeah. I don't catch you as
and
a
then
closed off guy.
Never here super open either. I guess maybe for me, it's more about, I think actually this is what it is, too open. Too like, let's consider this, let's consider that. And I think I'm a little bit tired of it. You know?
Yeah.
Like where some people, maybe they come out the gate very closed and they're strong, and then later in their life, they need to open. I think mine's the opposite. I'm fucking tired of absorbing everybody's fucking views and considering it and giving it respect, and then considering this and giving it respect. And now I'm like, it's too much noise, too much information.
Well, I respect that.
Yeah.
So if you plan on
I don't know
doing this a little bit more.
Yeah.
I think it depends on where. Is that coming from a mental process, or is it coming from discernment from like here? You know, have you developed that in yourself?
You know what I think it is?
For this to be what hones that in.
Yeah.
And not this.
I think what it is, it's more of like, what I think it is, now that we're trying to articulate what it is, I think what it is walking freely in who I am right now at this time. Right? Like,
that's what you desire, to just accept yourself as that?
Like, I've accepted myself, and now I just want to be like, fuck, I just want to like do my thing and not worry about what you think, right? On anything. Like I like shooting guns.
Yeah.
Right? But in my profession and the people that I'm associated with, and being a professor, from the west side of LA, from very progressive circles, like people think I'm fucking crazy. Like I'm some gun-toting fucking whatever. And I'm just like, I just spent a lot of energy internalizing that and thinking about that and thinking about what they're thinking about that and how they see me and all this shit. And I'm just like, why? Why can't I just be like, it's my fucking thing. It's fucking fun. You should try it. You don't want to try it. Fucking like leave me alone. Because there's crazy shit that you do that I feel like I fucking give you a free pass. I'm just like, fucking do your shit. Why can't I get my free pass on that shit?
Yeah.
You know? But I'm in Utah now, and so I'm kind of at home there. Like every motherfucker's packing there. Like it's crazy. But I'm still associated with a lot of people, and I'm very public because I have a different podcast that has a big reach. The majority is like super liberal, right? And that's cool, but like the gun thing is a perfect example of like, yeah, it's just what I fucking want to do.
Yeah.
You know?
I get you, man.
So, I don't know.
When you mention all these things, resonates for me deeply too. That it's exhausting.
Yeah.
To, I'm going to use a word that resonates for me, which is compartmentalize my life in order to function in society safely. When I really, like, we all waste too much energy living behind closets. To different social groups. When I really just want to fully integrate myself into one full being that just lives my life the way I want to live it. And you either accept it or you don't.
Right.
And that's okay with me.
Yeah.
You know what? That's what I hear, and that's what I pick up, is that I do compartmentalize my life too. There's things that my film industry people don't know about me.
Right. Yeah.
That I'm speaking up about stuff going on in the world right now, and they're probably looking at me like, damn, he went crazy in the past year and a half. I'm like, nah, dude, I've always been pretty much like this.
Yeah.
You know, so I think a lot of us are unwinding a lot of shit right now. Are finding this out about ourselves. One thing I want to tell you about this thing that I've noticed for myself is that, and I've been thinking a lot about fear lately. Because there's been so much fear in the world. Especially like people are afraid of death. People are afraid of
a lot of people are afraid of a lot.
Fear's fear.
Fear's fear.
I've always thought the opposite of fear was love or something like that. And I would always think to myself, well, like, love is not an easily digestible thing. It means so much to different people. And I was thinking, like, there's got to be something underneath of that that's easier for me to like live by. And the word that came to me was curiosity. Is the easiest path for me when I feel fear. And so curiosity is like this for me, fear's like this. And then I started to think to myself, well, what's the opposite of curiosity for me that's not fear? And when we talked about definitions, defining stuff, it's defining. When I define something, I define something to create a belief about it. We're storytelling beings.
Right, sure.
And it just creates a belief system about how something should be, or what I think it is. And then I ask myself, is it really? And then I go back into curiosity. You know what I mean? So I just wanted to mention that because it's crazy you mentioned that. It's been something I've been processing for myself, given the state of the world. And so I wanted to tell you when you said you just don't want to be like this anymore. I can relate to that too, man. And something that helps me still be open to curiosity and not be that open is tapping into my own innocence.
Right.
Because we hang ourselves at the fucking noose, dude, over everything we've done in our life and who we think we are. And when I imagine myself as a little boy or doing something in nature where I'm completely in my innocence, there's something that lets me off the hook with that. I don't know. And tie it back into Jiu Jitsu. That's been revolutionary for me in the past month. Was that I was tapping into an old identity that was ready to go away.
Right.
That was coming back up that I had not made amends with. It's like we have twins inside of us. We have this good person that we are, that we present to the world, and there's this shadow version of us that's off in the forest, pacing back and forth, spitting on the ground, staring at us because it thinks we stole its birthright.
Right.
And that's what came out that first month I went into Jiu Jitsu, and I had to make amends with it, and I'm still working with it.
When we talk about curiosity, I think that's a very safe word to describe me, right? It's very, very, very curious. Always have been, probably always will be. And maybe because Jiu Jitsu is so deep, right? Like, it's a deep sport, right? Like, there's counters, there's attacks, there's counters for counters, there's setups.
It's intellectually exhausting.
It's intellectually exhausting. And I think maybe what I like about it is that I get to scratch that unattainable sea of knowledge that is jiu-jitsu, and that I love that. I love being overwhelmed with information and thoughts and ideas and being frustrated with it, right? I love the frustration part of it. I don't like it when it's happening, just like we've talked about before, like it sucks. But then I find myself in the shower thinking about it. I find myself, just like doing little moves during the day. And I'm thinking what that does is it allows me to quiet all the other noise in the world and just like get this sliver of a deep ravine of curiosity and information that's pure, and that I could just like, it just quiets the noise of everything else, right? It just lets me take this deep dive, right? And for an hour and a half, I get to go into that place, and then I come back. I have to deal with clients. I have to deal with invoices.
Yeah.
I have to deal with family and all that shit. But then when the world is coming at me with all this information, like, I don't fucking want to hear it. Like I've already took that deep dive today. It's not saying I want to be ignorant about the world or have like an understanding or a comprehension, but I don't need it ruling my energy.
Yeah.
So.
Hell yeah.
Should we wrap it up?
Yeah, man.
Any closing thoughts?
Closing thoughts. There's probably been times in this conversation where I've sounded completely arrogant and like a know-it-all, and I'm in deep gratitude of the process of this in my life, and if I come across that way, I don't intend to be. I'm just taking it as it comes, man.
Yeah. How about this? How about, I don't think that you have, but let's say that you have came across as arrogant and know-it-all or whatever. I know for a fact that if you have come across that way, you've also come across as very vulnerable and humble and like giving to what you're thinking about.
Mm-hmm.
And so therefore what that means is we've had a really good conversation because we went hard on all of them.
We
right?
did. Yeah.
And because these conversations, when do you get to go really hard with arrogance and cockiness or know-it-all, and then vulnerability and stuff like that? It's hard to roll that into a normal conversation.
Yeah.
At the bank.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm not analyzing my experience with anything really like you would see somebody on fucking Rogan, dude, that's been doing this forever. Mm-hmm. It's like we said, this is one of the first real conversations I've had for in-depth, just integrating what's been happening to me.
All right, okay, yeah.
And different, I'm gonna come out different ways about it.
Sure.
With certain things I talk about. Yeah. Some things are gonna sound really immature.
Yeah.
And some things may come out like, the hell did that come from?
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
And so it just is what it is. I'm just enjoying the journey.
Yeah.
I will tell you that we all come with different things that we need, like the different medicine we need in our life. And it's interesting that, like, I feel like jiu-jitsu chose me right now.
That's cool.
And I just keep going because...
Yeah, sure.
Because
she's not done with you yet.
No.
Do you think she's masculine or feminine or
what do you mean?
Do you think jiu-jitsu is feminine or masculine?
I haven't thought about it.
Well, think about it. What do you think?
I don't know. Would I just be defining it? I just don't know.
Yeah.
I think there's different elements to it. But I can comment on that in a different way.
Yeah.
And say that I think it can complement well to what we're looking for. It depends on how you see it. Like, for instance, there's times in some people's life where they may need the freedom of going somewhere and being told what to do for an hour and a half.
Sure. Yeah.
That may make them feel free.
That is freedom too.
It can be.
It can be, 100%.
And then there's some people who need to go do ecstatic dance and be completely creative and not be told what to do for
That's
9
what
minutes.
I look like, by the way, when I do jiu-jitsu.
Is it?
Yeah, fucking hands up here and shit.
You get what I'm saying? And I think that we shift in our life and we
Yeah.
need different things at different times. And that's been a challenge for me lately. Is this interesting that jiu-jitsu chose me right now?
Right.
And I go in there and I find myself resisting the very structured recipe, as Cobrinha calls it, of what I'm being told to do. And I'm like, but I like to do it like this. You know what I mean? I find myself in that mode because at my place in my life right now, where I'm at, it's fascinating that this has called me, but I'm also in this, like, I just kind of want to dance and I want to draw and I don't want to be told what to do. It doesn't make me feel free to be in that container.
Maybe that's not what you need right now. I don't know.
I don't know either.
Yeah. But you keep going back.
I keep going back. Because it keeps calling me back.
Yeah, sure.
You know? And it's interesting because I went 10 days without going.
Yeah. Because of work and...
Yeah, I was working and doing stuff. And I'm getting emails from them like, where are you? When are you coming back? You need to come train. And I'm like, okay, is this a business or like, it doesn't matter.
Maybe they really care about you.
I'm sure they do. Yeah. But I could just email and just be like, didn't feel like it.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, but it's interesting.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of a thing to it. You know what I mean? Where I'm like, woke up and danced for 2 hours this morning. I feel pretty good.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to come in there and get my neck fucked up tonight. You know?
Yeah.
So anyways, that talking about the masculine and the feminine part of it, I think that it can complement either side. It can be that masculine container where you find your freedom in the structure.
Yeah.
You know? But I think I need to continue to learn more before it can truly be a creative thing. Like earlier in the car, we talked about the stages of creativity and how you usually start with unskilled imitation and then eventually move into skilled imitation. And that's as far as most people ever get with any kind of creative endeavor in their life, is some form of skilled imitation. And I've done that so much in my life, and it's been very unfulfilling.
Now you say most people, but are you really just talking about yourself?
I probably am. Yeah, because obviously I don't know most people, but I'm talking about most people, even at a higher level that I've learned from. We're really just imitating a person above them.
Don't you think that's fucking harsh? Like, don't you think that? Because I remember hearing this, and I remember not liking it, hearing that you saying that. Because what I was thinking when you were saying that was like, I'm thinking that he is undermining there's no way that you could do skilled imitation for a duration period of time and not have like moments of creativity weave in and out of that. And I was thinking to myself, like, those moments that, if I'm correct, and that there is moments of creativity that weave in and out in any type of skilled imitation, I'm wondering if he's way undervaluing that, right? Meaning, like it sounds like when you say it, that it's just this linear, straight 10 years of skilled imitation in its purity, when I don't think that's what it is.
I don't think so either. I think it turns into a derivative.
No, but you're thinking later. I'm thinking during. Like, literally, okay, put it this way.
Yeah.
I'm thinking literally, if I'm just doing a skilled imitation of something and just memorizing the moves in chess, because chess is a good analogy for stuff, right? Like, let's say all I'm doing is just memorizing the moves, and executing them the best that I can, right? And you would be like, fuck, he's just a memorizing player, and he's beating me because he's memorized more moves than me. However, what I want to say, and this is again just a metaphor or an analogy, is that even if that is what you're doing, and you do that for 5 years, that there's gonna be moments, and there might be micro, of freestyle, of creativity, where you can't execute that plan.
Yeah,
and maybe those moments, maybe they're small in stature or small in intent, but maybe they carry a lot of fucking weight in regards to creativity, right? Like you're undervaluing like those. So who cares if somebody, because it feels like you're judging if that's all that somebody does, and they should be being creative and they should be doing this and they should be striving for that point. For what? Maybe that's just their fucking shit, and there's nothing wrong with that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
So like, am I like coming too hard at you with that, or am I like,
no?
Am I like off that, like, am I off in the sense of like I read it wrong, or I don't know. I guess a better way would be like, well, how do you feel when I say that?
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I said what I said.
Yeah.
And I think I just said something that has been coming to my mind lately.
Yeah.
I'm not speaking.
Maybe it's all my shit.
I'm not speaking. I'm not speaking on any kind of like scientific study or any kind of chart or anything. I'm just thinking about like what kind of energy do I feel coming from myself lately, and what kind of pool am I swimming in at the moment? And I happen to feel a lot of originality coming from me at the moment, and it could also be I could be being a complete asshole and be judging because I haven't learned enough of the fucking recipe of Jiu Jitsu to even touch any originality in it yet. So I totally get what you're saying. That yes, of course there's going to be originality throughout it as you go and develop your own style. To me, that's one thing I notice is like, I don't know a lot about Jiu Jitsu, but the white belts and the blue belts are basically just copycats. And then when you start looking at the purple belts, you're like, they all have their own style.
Right.
To me, that's what I noticed. They and up start to have their own style.
Okay.
I'm not saying that it's all the way throughout.
All right. Maybe,
But what I'm talking about is at this point in my life, is that maybe I'm not interested in learning something new through skilled imitation, through that process. And that seems to be what it's going to mainly be, with little bursts of originality.
Right, sure.
A lot. It seems rigid for what wants to fucking erupt out of my life now. Does that make any sense?
It does, and now that you say it like that, I want to share with you a story that might really fucking help you.
Please.
Okay. Now that I get you, and I'm glad that I came back at you with that, because this is what opens up real dialogue, right? Okay. So when I was an artist, I fucking wanted to be an artist really bad. Really fucking bad, right? I grew up as an artist. People saw me as an artist. I saw myself as an artist. I went to the Coast Guard. When I got out, I got the GI Bill, which pays for college. I went to art school.
Yeah.
Okay? Now what happened is I so fucking badly wanted a style. Okay? I saw these artists that were ahead of me, fucking fantastic artists. Many of them are world famous artists right now. And they had this style and they had this voice and they fucking knew who they were, right? And I'm this white belt undergraduate and I'm learning about Dan Flavin and I'm learning about fucking Warhol and I'm learning about all these fucking great artists, right? And I would go through a phase where I'm like making shit out of neon because I'm looking at Dan Flavin. I'm making shit and I'm not finding my fucking style and my voice, and I'm imitating these guys, and at the same time I know I'm imitating them, and I'm like feeling like shit, and like I'm feeling like a fucking sellout, and I can't stop imitating these people. And then I'm trying to, I spent years trying to come up with what did I call it at the time? I try to come up with like things that were not a kitsch, but like almost like a shtick, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm gonna be the fucking the silkscreen guy, or this is gonna be my thing, or right? And I spent years and years and years, a decade of doing that shit. And then when I stopped, and I got to a point of art where I was mature, right? And I was able to kind of relax all of that and kind of like found myself, and I got to a comfortability with it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I stopped and I looked back through my fucking career, and my style was there the whole entire time, right? There was like this thread of thirst and knowledge, and you just saw these things that I was trying to do and I was thinking about and exploring and silk screening and printmaking and this, and there was like this thread. And so what I'm trying to tell you now is like, you are at the beginning of art school and you're looking at these great artists and you're thirsting for fucking this identity that they have and this freedom and all this shit, and you're already there. There's somebody looking at you in class being like, look at this fucking wrestler who's a fucking beast and he's going through this shit. Like, look at that fucking style that he has, right? You're just undefined, and there's just so much information that you can't stop and get out of the forest and look at the fucking tree. Like, you're so in it, and you already have a style, and you already have a creativity, and you're responding to these situations that you're in with creativity, but you just don't see it yet, right? Like you come at it, you put the hand on the throat for a second or whatever, like that's a moment of creativity that you have to like restrain, right? And or intuitiveness, right? And you're gonna fucking come back in 10 years and we're gonna look at this episode and shit, and we're gonna be like, holy shit, bro, you're the same way, but fucking you've refined everything and it's polished and it's so fucking funny.
Or we look at it and we're like, hey, remember those 6 months you did Jiu Jitsu?
Yeah, or that. Yeah. Or fucking it doesn't even exist.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying, it's like, it's there. And I'm hoping that, like, maybe after this conversation, like, you could realize that and be like, man, I think there's massive amounts of opportunities for creativity while you're learning these techniques. And maybe that creativity is fucking refining it to a fucking pinpoint where you're untouchable. And how do you use creativity for fucking to get to that point? Or maybe it's, how do I use my creativity to be less aggressive? Or how do I use my intellect to... I have no fucking idea what it is. But I'm convinced that there's no way that there's not a huge opportunity for you to be very creative right now. And it would be sad if you miss that and go through the next couple years of rolling without seeing that.
A good story, man. Thank you.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, it's good insight, man.
So
I do relate to what you're saying.
Yeah.
And I do actually sense not worried about not having style.
Okay.
Or anything like that. I'm wrestling with the idea that I have creative energy coming from me to do other things in my life.
Oh.
And I question, why am I wasting 12 hours a week driving over there to do that?
Right, yeah. Huh.
Am I running from responsibility of what's trying to erupt
so
out of me?
I went on that whole diatribe and I was like wrong. Or I missed the whole fucking point. I mean, I'm laughing like I think I did. Because that's not what you're talking about. You're not talking about what I was talking about.
Not necessarily.
Okay.
But your story's fucking awesome, dude.
Thanks.
No, and it means something to me.
Yeah.
You tell me that.
Okay.
And it still is super relevant.
Okay. All right, I'll take that.
But I'm struggling with the idea of like, I'm being called to this and I'm following it.
Yeah.
But I get in the way and want to know why. And then, you know.
Maybe you don't need to know why.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah. I don't. But that's what causes suffering, is me wanting to know why. You know, me wanting to know that why.
If for some reason, like, somebody was able to tell you right now, like, why you're doing it, God or whatever fucking came down, it's like, oh, Ryan, this is why you're doing it. Would you even believe it? Would it even matter? Like, would it, you know what I mean? Like, would you be in a space where, like, you could even recognize that that's what it is?
Well, like I said, I've gotten clear enough on what I'm learning about. Well, I'm always learning about myself, but what I'm learning about myself throughout the process is gold. That's the treasure of life to me, and so that's important.
Yeah,
but it's not often where I've felt a bubbling sense of purpose to serve people who need help and to do things. And there's part of me that feels like jiu-jitsu is somewhat of a distraction.
It's not do you think it's,
I don't know.
Do you think it's unhealthy distraction or a healthy distraction right now?
I haven't figured it out. I don't know. Maybe I need to put up more boundaries around it. You know what I mean? Because you know how it is, man. You start going to jiu-jitsu class and you're fucking watching the fucking YouTube rabbit hole jiu-jitsu videos, and then it's just should be doing other shit. There's other shit that needs to happen. You know what I mean? Rather than me starting over and learning something new right now. What the fuck? You know? Like I get. And this is my own ego.
Sure.
Totally. This is what I go through with it. Okay. It's like,
all right,
the fuck are you doing, dude?
Yeah.
You're spending all this money on this shit. Feels like the world's ending.
Yeah.
Your job is dissolving in front of you. And there's 20 other things that you really should be doing right now. You know?
Interesting.
It's wild to think about, you know?
Yeah. Huh. I know that my work with my clients has suffered because of it.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, and there's been a couple times where I'm like, oh, I really need to get this project out the door. And I'm like, actually, I'm going to use jiu-jitsu as a distraction. Because I've come to a point in my life where I could see those things and I know what I'm doing, right? Like when I was younger, I wouldn't know that I was doing jiu-jitsu to avoid working on this very important project and getting it out to the door for the client. And now I'm like, oh no, I know exactly what I'm doing. And my wife will even be like, are you doing this to avoid to not work? And I'm like, yep. And she's like, okay. Like, as long as you know. And I think by being honest with that, then it allows me to then, like, because I've already reframed and I said, okay, I know what I'm doing. I'm still going to go and roll and kind of avoid my work and take control and, like, my life in this, like, moment and whatever, and do something that I like. But by being honest with that and having conversations like this, that I'm sure we're both going to chew on in the next couple of days, right? Because we went pretty deep on a lot of shit.
Because this is the first time talking about most of this stuff.
So, like, maybe, it's like, yeah, I am fucking avoiding this shit, and I am world falling apart, fucking jobs dissolving, and fucking, that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm fucking avoiding some of that shit, and maybe that's fucking perfect right now.
It could be.
Right? Because you could also be fucking drinking a 12-pack of fucking beer every night, right? You could also be doing self-destructive things or whatever, and, like, let's do something that fixes, maybe, just maybe, in order you to evolve to the next step with all the shit that's going in your life, you're not going to be able to move forward until you fucking resolve that shit that you did as a wrestler, as a fucking kid, and there's something driving you, and you're gonna fix that, and then maybe fucking you won't need jiu-jitsu anymore because you fucking resolved that thing.
Yeah.
And then now you're like, okay, now let's fucking move forward.
I think that's the key is trusting that you'll know when it's time.
Yeah.
If it's ever time.
Yeah.
But you know what, dude? I it's affected my relationship at home, and I don't know if Liz would ever watch this and agree.
Yeah.
But from what I've seen, I feel like it has.
In a bad or a good way?
I just don't. Not in
Is
a
there
good.
any more water?
No, I don't think there is. But you know what?
Yeah.
There was 6 weeks where I was missing dinner and bedtime 4 days a week.
Okay, sure.
Because the timing of this white belt class is like right when everybody's living their life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm like, even from the first class I went there, I was like, can I not come at 7 a.m.?
Yeah.
No, that's only for competition or whatever. And I'm like, fucking A, dude.
Yeah.
I just need a group of guys I can roll with.
Yeah.
At fucking 8 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
3 days a week. This fucking 9 o'clock at night, 10 o'clock at night stuff is like young buck games, you know what I mean? And I can't be, it's definitely, it was getting weird, like not being home for dinner.
Right.
And I
guess
I would ask myself why.
I guess what's hard for me is like,
what am I avoiding?
I don't know. I guess what's hard for me is like, I feel like the answer is so simple, and it's just like, I think you need to find a different school that's closer and more convenient, right? And I think what concerns me is that you're not, right? And I don't know. It's like, I know there's a loyalty thing, and I know that like you like, whatever. Actually, I don't know, but it seems like that's more concerning to me than you just doing jiu-jitsu and it taking up time. It's like, man, I feel like there's a lot of opportunities here in LA that are near you that you could like avoid these like really big frustrations. So I'm wondering if there's something deeper behind that. Like totally. It's like is it like a self-sabotage, or is it a loyalty to your friend Nick that introduced you to that school?
That's part of it.
And fucking get that shit out of the fucking way, because I guarantee you he would not give a fuck. Right? And nobody would give a fuck, right? You're not Nick and Nate Diaz that's fucking loyal to their fucking pack in Stockton right now. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like you're learning, and this is your path, and like that's in your fucking head. That's some number one fucking bullshit, dude. That's like, bro, like I could get in and out of jiu-jitsu at a school that's 2 miles, 3 miles from my house that I could walk or run to, handle my shit, get that fucking fixed, be home time for dinner, not have to do the traffic shit, not have to pay as much, right? And fucking, and to continually choose not to do that, it's like concerning for me, because I'm like, fuck, what's you thinking? You know?
Well, you just helped me come to this thought recently, and I've only been once since we talked about that, and that was because we talked about that the day that I had bit my tongue, and we had texted,
and
for
I
a
felt
little bit.
bad because I was like, "Fuck, am I?"
No,
I didn't like that. I felt like I was being too.
You kind of gave me permission to consider it, and you're onto something heavy there, man, because there is something about me that does.
Still rolling. Go on.
There are things about me. Still going?
Yeah, still
right
strong.
on, man.
There is things about you.
There are things about me that push my own frustrations and pains under my own nobility at times. And I just don't know what to tell you. Sometimes I avoid.
Fuck, we all do that shit.
I avoid wanting to explain to him because I don't feel like I owe anyone an explanation.
Yeah.
Or I don't know what to say.
They're gonna go on and you just be fucking fine.
Yeah. Oh, I know they will.
Right. I know, but you need to also. I know that you know that, but you need to hear it.
Thank you.
Do you
know? Yeah. Do you know how much stress I put on myself
Yeah.
in my life,
Yeah.
having to explain myself,
Yeah.
to explain myself.
Probably as much as I do too. I get it.
And it's one of the
sucks.
things that frustrates me most
Yeah.
about myself
Yeah.
is that this bubbling feeling to fucking explain myself
Right.
comes up.
Yeah.
And I avoid that
Yeah.
because it burns me out.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm going to have to explain to myself to several people that I would rather... It's fucked up, dude.
Yeah. No, I get it. But also, you could be very... Fuck. You're cerebral. You have a journal. You write shit down. I think if you are going to go... And I think that you should, as your friend... Like, I don't like the idea of you going to that school in the odd times through the fucking traffic. For those of you watching that are like in a different state and kind of laugh at like the whole LA traffic thing, it's a real fucking thing. It's a real fucking thing. It's exhausting. It's a lot of stress.
I fucking love my teacher too, though.
Right, I
And
know.
that school's
see,
awesome.
that's why I feel like a dick. I'm not fucking qualified.
He's amazing.
See, I'm not qualified to tell you this, but I'm going to be anyway. More as a friend and not as a Jiu Jitsu practitioner, because I don't know fucking shit. But as a friend, I'm like, also, I'm just going to reiterate, and I think I said this in conversation as well. You can fucking leave that school, find something nearby, something that works, something that's more affordable, something that doesn't hurt your family life. Try one, try two, get what you need out of them. And if those don't fucking work, you could walk back into that school with your head fucking high. There's no reason that you couldn't do that. And he'd be like, fucking welcome back, what'd you do? Hey, I checked out this school, I checked out that school. Lame, but whatever. Fuck it, come, let's roll.
Mm-hmm.
It would mean fucking nothing. And if anything, it'd be like, okay, cool, like you dated around. Whatever. You know? Like, it's totally fucking fine.
Have an open relationship with Jiu Jitsu.
Yeah, and then, you know, I believe in loyalty.
Yeah.
I get that.
Me too. Yeah.
I get that. But I would think that there's a difference between handling your shit, being the dad, being the provider, knowing that you could be in a different situation, manning up to it, overcoming your shit if you need to explain yourself, put yourself in a better situation, ride it out, and then see where it goes, as opposed to fucking Cabrino didn't notice this, and so I'm gonna go check out another school, like fucking.
Or I'm not there.
I know you're not even there. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
And the only reason why I brought that up because I know that wouldn't be your motivator.
No.
Your motivator is fucking. I need to handle my.
It's not working
shit.
from my lifestyle right now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right, and then, like, yeah, dude, like. I don't know. It just stresses me out because I fucking love you and I care about you. And I'm like, you know, I don't know. Maybe it all fucking harmonizes. Maybe you advance quickly and you can get into those morning classes and it's fucking done deal. It's handled. Traffic's less then and fucking blah, blah, blah.
Well, even, I've even second guessed, like, even if I could get into the morning classes, would it be like, I just don't, I don't know. Yeah, a lot of it's ego for me too. That I've been a part of high level programs through most of my athletics in my life, and not even that. But when I did yoga teacher training, I have high standards for that stuff. I'm like, especially living in LA, you really have some of the best in the world at everything in the world. You can find easily a top 5 in the world of everything. To train under, to take classes with, and so. I have ego, man. I'm like, you know what? Fuck it.
Yeah.
I want to go with that dude. He's the world champion.
Yeah.
Or I'm going to do yoga here because that's the best place in LA. Or I'm going to do this because that's the best. And so a little bit of it's like a little bit of bravado of like, I go to Cobrina's Academy.
Right. And that's okay too.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah.
Because it's great.
Yeah.
You know?
I don't know. I really feel like I've overstepped my boundary. Like, I feel like I'm...
What?
We're just doing a lot of like, you should do this and you should do that.
You're my friend.
Whatever. Yeah.
We're just friends talking. We're just friends.
All right, we need to fucking go to bed,
Let's do it, man.
All right, homie.
Good talk.